Boom! And we are live once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back for another live stream. As always, we have a hell of a lot to cover. We're really going to be asking for your interaction throughout this live stream. So first of all, a like is a great way to start, but we will be towards the end of the live stream asking you guys for your questions that you want answered. Some of you may just want to know what the hell is happening with the cryptocurrency space right now. It is the last day of September. Wake me up when September ends. We are here, ladies and gentlemen, ready for October. And I hope you're as excited for it as I am. We are going to be looking at the typical returns that October produces. November, also a very bullish month. And certainly, we'll be relating how the seasonality of the markets very much aligns with how they're positioned today. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll possibly recap on some of our cryptocurrencies that broke out, that came back for a retest, and then are now looking for continuation. Was waiting for that in the comment section there, guys. You've got to be a little bit faster. We are going to ask for your interaction throughout the course of this live stream. But let's just start the video off by taking a look at crypto's market caps and how cryptos are moving today. And I want to highlight something. So we're only going to look at the top 25. We might look at some outside of the top 25 throughout the live stream. But for now, we're just going to focus on the top 25. I want to highlight just how well many coins have done in the past year. So the changes over the past year, Bitcoin up 135%, Ethereum 54%, BNB 166%. Now, BNB, I think, might be a bit of a dark horse. What's the cryptocurrency that's attached to the largest exchange in the world going to do? Now, I'm not up to date fundamentally on BNB. When it originally came out with their sort of smart chain, it was really, as an Ethereum rival, a faster alternative to Ethereum. And I did dabble with PancakeSwap and things like that. But we actually have, BNB's price today is $573. We have a 2,600 and is it 47? We'll take a look at it, perhaps, remind me. Price prediction for BNB, and that's in line with the rest of the space. We've got lots of technical price predictions for lots of cryptos out there, and they're all to the upside, ladies and gentlemen, which is in line with the direction we think the space is going. We'll talk about October. I think you're going to see hundreds of percents in regards to returns coming in October, November. We'll talk about it all. And of course, you've got Solana. I can't really call it a dark horse because it's very much a kind of like a unicorn, I guess, in regards to its status with all your big channels and people out there. You know, Franklin Templeton, I was listening to Breaking Point's Franklin Templeton talk and why they chose Solana. And their reason was very much it's fast and we like some of the standards. It's fast, I think, is or should be a given, just like something working. However, Solana has done very, very well. You know, year to date up 625%, absolutely staggering. Then we've got USDC. XRP only up 20%. XRP actually looking quite good on the smaller timeframes. We might fly past XRP throughout the contents of this live stream. Then you've got something like Lido staking, really just Ethereum. Stake Teeth. Then we've got Dogecoin up 91%. Meme season is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. You guys will remember we looked a few weeks ago at Dogecoin and Shiba Inu and how they had broken out of their phase 1 bases, came back to their phase 2s, and we're ready for that continuation. Both have falling wedges that they've popped out of. I think Shiba, since its falling wedge, up significantly. Then we've got Toncoin. Very interesting. People sleeping on Toncoin. I can tell that because when we've created videos on Toncoin, it gets little engagement because probably that many people aren't looking into it or interested in it. But it is 10th in terms of market cap. It's above Cardano at this point. I'm going to say this. I'm going to wind some people up. I am a massive fan of ADA. I have been for pretty much as long as I've been in the cryptocurrency space. I think it's going to continue to bump down that market cap, unfortunately, guys. I do truly believe that. I think when you look at ADA BTC, we did a video on this, its time is coming later on down the line, and that might coincide with the Laos paper. Because ultimately, one thing that worried me about that Laos paper was a lot of those principles that were spoken about in regards to how they scale or the methods to do that were originally outlined in Charles Hoskinson's original whiteboard video back in 2015. They're now on paper. They've got to be voted on and then put into practice. Obviously, you can now vote. Cardano has an on-chain governance now with Chang. Who the hell is Chang, you might ask? Well, it's the name of the hard fork that took place to enable the decentralized governance that's got going on. Anybody that took part in Polkadot's open governance will know, expect chaos. You're going to get heartbreaks with these governance systems. And is everyone having a vote the right way to do things? Is everyone or you having more vote based on your stake the right way to do things? There's lots of questions that are sort of to be answered in regards to decentralized government. If it's an area that's largely not been explored, it'll become more and more relevant, certainly in the Orwellian future that we're all moving towards. I'm sure we're all looking forward to October's budget here in the UK. I know I'm certainly not. In fact, so much so, we're going to consider an escape route. Anyway, so Toncoin, people largely missing out on that, but 173% up on the year. Cardano only 51% up. Again, I do think it's going to continue to bump down. Tron. I don't know what it is with Tron, but I think it's going to do quite well, and I think it's got something to do with the Chinese government. Now, I hate to sound like Alex Jones or Donald Trump, but I think there's something is going to go on with Tron. And in fact, if you look at USDT, Tron has become one of the majors in regards to the issuance of it. And stable coins are going to play such a monumental role in the world that we're moving towards. In fact, they're going to be what at least postpones a debt crisis. Then we've got Avalanche, 204% up. Another one that we looked at a few weeks ago. Wrapped ETH, Shiba Inu, doing exceptionally well. On 7 days, it's up 25% on the is that monthly? It's up 30%, and on the yearly, it's up 145%. Altcoins are going to get rocking, or altcoins generally, but meme coins are going to do well. We've got a couple of meme coins in the Patreon. Wrapped Bitcoin, of course. Wrapped Ethereum, Chainlink. People sleeping on what is a staple cryptocurrency, in my opinion, going to do very, very well. Bitcoin Cash. I often wonder, is there a place for Bitcoin Cash in this world? Perhaps. I'm a little bit of a fan of Bitcoin Cash, actually, in Roger Ver. Because I think the idea and the intentions behind it were real ones. You know, they wanted to actually make Bitcoin usable as a cash, which, of course, it is not in its current 2 to 4 transactions per second state. And you can add Lightning and introduce centralized entities all you want, which is directly opposed to what Satoshi's vision truly was. And I also can't help but feel, so I'm of a more conspiratorial mindset, I think, generally, but certainly when it comes to Bitcoin, I don't think that the powers that be would allow what gives them so much power up so freely. And this makes me question Bitcoin and the mysterious origins of it. I was listening to a take from Raoul, actually, and I think Raoul's spot on in regards to his banana zone or everything up scenario and all the cycles align. I think he's rather spot on that. But he was talking about how the NSA and the British intelligence may be behind Bitcoin. What do you think in the comment section? Please let me know, because I'm genuinely interested in this. But was Bitcoin deliberately designed to be slow? You know, and actually, that if you want to implement any changes on Bitcoin, it's very hard to do that. And Bitcoin Cash really tried to do that by forking and implementing larger block sizes and things like this, but it hasn't really taken off. And part of the reason why Bitcoin is because it is Bitcoin. There's no secondary really to it. It's the asset. We agree with the Maxis on that. We disagree with them on their kind of naivety in regards to calling everything else other than Bitcoin an SHIT coin. Simply not the case. And actually, I think there's far bigger uses for a distributed ledger than, in terms of application, than potentially a store of value. I don't think Bitcoin is a cash or a money, in my humble opinion. But we've got Bitcoin Cash. Then we've got Polkadot. Now, I absolutely love Polkadot. Polkadot's another project, just like Cardano, I'm a kind of legacy fan of. There's this big debate out here. You know, I often get called a dinosaur coin lover by some of you probably that are in this live stream right now. However, I think some of the dinosaur coins, they might not be the hot new thing on the block, but they will come into their own, and some of them are doing real things. And I think in some ways, talking about Cardano just there, Polkadot, one of the things I was very attracted to about Cardano was this idea of input endorsers. So basically how you'd use Cardano, like how the whole space has gone now, like Ethereum, ETH1 isn't, or ETH layer 1 isn't trying to do everything. They're trying to sort of scale through sharding and things like this, but use the underlying layer 1 to sort of secure that all. That was Cardano's vision with Ouroboros, sorry. Ouroboros is an amazing proof of stake mechanism. Polkadot actually uses it with, or very similar thing. But essentially, everything's trying to have a like security chain or a main chain, and then build chains upon that. I've always thought Cardano spoke about that back in 2015. Polkadot's actually gone ahead and done that to more of a degree than Cardano has in regards to the fact they have something like 54 parachains and some killer use cases out of that. I've been lucky enough to interview Kilt Protocol with Deloitte. Many projects out there or many sort of layer ones out there run off Polkadot, and it doesn't get quite the love I think it deserves. However, beauty is always in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? That's why meme coins do well. So Near Protocol, real pivot from Near into AI, which is interesting. I'm really hoping to get someone on the show soon to interview on Near. 366% up. Uniswap, I don't like DeFi anymore. I'm sorry. I don't think it's the hot thing anymore. I think DPIM, AI, in my opinion, going to do significantly better. And then you've got DAI, which is a stable coin. MakerDAO actually did quite well over the past couple of days. Down, I think, about 4 or 5% today. And then Leo token. I don't even know what Leo token is, by the way, guys. I think I must have looked into it a long time ago. And then, of course, I know what Litecoin is. Litecoin, of course, I've shared mining with Dogecoin. So everything, barring stable coins, up on a year to date. Also up on the monthly. The only one that isn't is Tron. And that's it in the top 25. 7 day, pretty much most things up. Generally, the space is in good standings. Let's go ahead and go next and see what we've got here in regards to the top 50. A lot higher gains here. Oh, what's going on with Pepe? 1,283% up. Sui. Again, I think this is going to do well. Very much Solana in regards to its status. Franklin Templeton, also a big fan of these guys. Very interesting. What I didn't know about Sui was a lot of the people that worked on Facebook's Libra went over, or Meta's Libra now, went over and actually ended up working on Sui and implementing things on it. ICP, we're obviously a big fan of. FET, now artificial superintelligence. There's no ASI token yet. That conversion is still to take place, but everything should be in FET. Obviously, the mergers are taking place. You still can merge your Ocean, your Singularity into FET. And then obviously the ASI is coming later. I'm a holder of FET. It's done very well for me. It's one of my larger positions. I think we've made that public previously. And then we've got a number of other plays. We've got lots of plays, but things generally moving in the right direction. And they're about to go even more so in that direction. So we want to kind of reassure people, not promise people, but reassure people that our take is very much that we've got an amazing time ahead of us for the cryptocurrency space. In the immediate, more mid to longer term, potentially towards the back end of 2025, time for crypto. And the market's very much positioned like that, and ignore the short-term chop and volatility that we're seeing today. It's the end of September. You're likely going to get volatility around that. Also, we've got an interesting week ahead of us. Is JP speaking today? Has he already spoken? Maybe. I'm not 100%. It's been a super busy day for us here at Allincrypto. We recently broke the news that we're actually looking to bring team members on. There is an application form if anybody's interested in going into crypto as a job. So it is fun. I promise you. Sometimes it is work, but it is also very fun. Ultimately, the space is in a great situation. And despite Bitcoin's current price action, there's a great time ahead of us. And actually, I think things are really going to get rocking and rolling in October. And that's where I want to come to next. Now that we've looked at some coins generally, it's always good to sort of keep an eye on what's doing what, where things are generally, what's performing well, what's not. You want to be in the stronger horses. Some strong horses that have sort of shone thus far is the likes of Sol. Sui's been really strong recently. There's not much price history for Sui, unfortunately. Obviously, BTC. BTC is always strong, and then you get that Bitcoin dominance rolling that we think we're on the cusp of. With Bitcoin resurging, altcoins are going to resurge even harder, or resurge even harder. And that's ultimately going to lead Bitcoin dominance to roll. We've got every reason to expect Bitcoin to go up and ultimately altcoins to rock and roll. So let's talk now about October, because hence the Oktoberfest outfit that I am or was wearing in the thumbnail, or was thrust upon me by our editor. October is a great month, the best month if you take the medium for the cryptocurrency space, for Bitcoin, and thus the crypto space, as Bitcoin is still the tide that rises and sinks all ships. And here you can see, this is on coinglass.com. We have Bitcoin's monthly returns going all the way back to 2013. And January is, a so-so month. People probably, a little bit hungover from New Year, whatever it may be, getting adjusted to the new year ahead of them, focusing on that probably more than their investments. You also have a little bit of positioning that goes on or is done previously that might cause a bit of a hangover of its own. But January, typically, a bit of a lackluster month. February, typically quite a good month. One of the best months, actually. March is a good month. April's a good month. May's a good month. And then you sort of sell in May, come back in St. Leger's Day kicks in. We're on the back end of that now, guys. People are getting back to work and getting back to the markets. Seasonality thing for markets comes from way back when markets were agricultural. You plant and then you reap. What would the word be? Dig up? I don't know, farm, whatever it is, whatever you've planted previously. And markets have kind of continued over from that, or harvest is the word I was looking for there. Thank you. Markets have continued over from that. And you see it still playing out. And if you look at sort of May, June, lackluster, July, a little bit up generally, August, September, typically the worst month. We've survived the worst month, ladies and gentlemen. It hasn't actually been that bad. This month, we're on track to put an 8.3% return to the upside in. And then the best months are October, November. And December's actually typically okay, not the best. If you take the medium, actually, it's pretty bad. But it's largely mixed. But more importantly, October and November we have ahead of us. So we've survived the worst month historically, and we've got the two best months ahead of us. And obviously the average in October is 22.9%. The medium is 27.7%. In November, it's 46% on the average and 8.8% on the medium. So we've got an amazing month ahead of us. Or amazing couple of months ahead of us. I do truly believe that. And we'll get into the charts in just a second. Ultimately, we think this is going to play out. There is that, and it's a great pushback. Well, there's always a chance that it doesn't. You could say that about anything. And that might be the case, just because everyone's expecting it to be a good month, and everybody is, not just us here on Allincrypto, the data doesn't lie. It might not be, but it's been thus far, and we're going to go with the trend, whether that be technically looking at charts or whether that be October, November being good months in regards to markets more broadly. There's a kind of crossover with markets more broadly, and we think there's a great time ahead for markets, and that's all coming on the back end of the central banks, the greatest manipulators of liquidity. They're going to see liquidity cycles come to fruition. They're going to see PMI cycles. PMI is a little bit sluggish. Bitcoin 4-year cycle, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, it's all lining up. And of course, technically what we're going to get into is going to kind of cement, like we've previously done, the direction we ultimately think this market is heading in. So if we go over to the Brave New Liquid Coin Index, which is the longest chart that we have, you can see we're very much doing what we've historically done. We'll leave these on. I was going to take, well, I'll tell you what, we'll take these off and we'll redraw them when I'm showing you what's about to come and how this aligns with what we think Bitcoin is about to do. And then we'll look at some altcoins and things like that before we dive over to some questions. But if we look at the BLX, the Brave New Liquid Coin Index goes all the way back to 2010. Best chart that we have. Any data in 2009 really was on spreadsheets. Not really that, pretty hard to plot and pretty... It would look like some of those altcoins that just get listed on exchanges where it's just massive wicks all over the place. A pointless task, I think. But Bitcoin's very much where it should be. In fact, if anything, it's above and beyond where it typically is. Look at where Bitcoin typically is in around the halvings. This is the first time ever it's gone on and put in a high pre-halving. Now, that's more of a bullish thing than it is a bearish thing. And we're consolidating as we do in the manner that we do before we get rocking and rolling. Bitcoin miners look great, ladies and gentlemen. We spoke about things like TerraWolf, Hut, a number of others out there. Now is honestly a perfect time to become a patron if you're considering it. It's not for everyone, but if you want to take things serious, you want to find out what I'm buying, do consider it. We do have some stocks in there. Also, things are where they should be. And the altcoin market is very much where it should be. The only reason Bitcoin's gone on and put in a high pre-halving is due to institutional involvement. We know that in regards to inflows. Same with Ethereum and Solana up until I think it was 3 months ago or 2 months ago when the Ethereum ETF's only been out for 2 months, by the way, guys. And IBIT's already seen $1 billion. Solana, up until the Ethereum ETF approval, saw more inflows in regards to CoinShares report through ETPs than Ethereum, which is interesting. It means people are betting. There's this great question out here, and I want to know your takes on it. Let me know in the comment section. Do we think, as a collective mind, which is what's enabled us to get this far as a race, which includes everybody, do we think that Ethereum is going to remain number 2 forever? I am not convinced. I think there's a good argument to say, okay, well, it might. I don't think Ethereum's going to remain number 2 forever, personally. I think it's old tech. I think if you look at technology generally, it's not the first that's the best. And I don't even think Ethereum was the first smart contract. If I'm right on that, was it BLX? You had like Namecoin and all these things. You had altcoins way before Ethereum. But that's maybe for another video. We were looking at one point to release a book on the history of crypto. So we have read up on quite a lot of that. But I don't think Ethereum's going to remain second forever. I really don't. I think, if you look at tech, it's usually not everybody's using the first MacBook that came out. We're now on 16 or whatever it is, or it's iPhone 16. We've moved a long way from that. And a great movie in regards to technology is, of course, the BlackBerry movie. Great story. If you're interested in business and entrepreneurship and technology generally, it's a brilliant story. It's got the guy from Always Sunny in it. I can't remember his name. Good watch. And I'm not sure Ethereum is going to live forever. In regards to number 2 position, I think it will be about, but is it going to remain the dominant sort of layer 1 smart contract blockchain? I'm not convinced. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. So October, we do very much believe is going to be a great month. We have previously done an exercise where we've looked at Bitcoin dominance and we've said, okay, post-halving, how long does this take to roll? And it comes up at the same time every time. So this is 24 days. You can see me getting the numbers jumbled up there. Bitcoin dominance, of course, is in red for anybody that's not just watched what I've done there. And if you take where we are today into the halving or post-halving by the same number, you can see it's taken us into November. And I think this aligns with what we're looking at in regards to Bitcoin. We've got lots of technical confluence in regards to the direction that Bitcoin's going in. What do I mean by that? It's kind of a jargon term, isn't it? We've got lots of things pointing in the same direction when we look at Bitcoin in regards to technical patterns that are giving us targets all to the upside. We've got this inverse head and shoulders we predicted, just like we predicted this one. We've then got a cup and handle in very much the manner that you put in a cup and handle in and around all-time highs. You very much put a toe above it, and then you come back and consolidate. We showed you lots of charts in regards to previous charts that had been where Bitcoin was today and gone on higher. I might even do that again. We'll look at Vanex Semiconductors is a great example. And then we've potentially got a bull flag. And the inverse head and shoulders target you to 151,000. The bull flag taking you to 130. And then the inverse, the cup and handle taking you to 309. And we're very much expecting this to play out. We did also look on the small time frame, certainly going into non-farm, where we were expecting the 50 basis point rate cut. We did look at this smaller pattern. And you're very much following, you've run into a bit of resistance here, but this is likely going to take you to 84. So there's lots of confluence when we look at Bitcoin. And if we look at the more immediate structure Bitcoin's in, also confluence is the fact that you are in an uptrend. So you've got that going for you as well. If you look at the current structure that Bitcoin's in, it's a broadening sort of descending structure. It's very common when you approach all-time highs. We'll flick over to that in just a second. It's not going to be long before you clear this. And if you look at altcoins generally, we'll use Ethereum as an example. We've got a video covering 5 altcoins to watch closely in October. They're all breaking out of structure. If you look at altcoins generally using Ethereum as a barometer for them, they've just given up more ground than Bitcoin on Bitcoin's weakness because Bitcoin's still that tide that rises and sinks all ships. You'll see them reassert to even a greater manner when Bitcoin reasserts. And this is going to align with right on cue. It's amazing how things get followed like this. It's almost annoying in some ways, isn't it? But I guess it makes life a little bit easier. Right on cue, how long it takes for Bitcoin dominance to actually roll in regards to timeframes post-halving. Ultimately, we think this is going to take place. And when we look at altcoins individually, and let's do that, let's not just talk about it. Let's show you 10 or so altcoins that are perfectly following market cycles. What do I mean by market cycles? Market moves, or markets typically move in 4 phases. Stan Weinstein knew this. Dow Charles Dow knew this. It came up with Dow theory. And of course, Wyckoff knew this. Everyone only talks about Wyckoff's accumulate and distribute, but there's an uptrend and a downtrend that sort of follow accumulate and follow distribute. You can see markets move in 4 phases. This is your sort of, let's go back. Phase 1, base here. Phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, back to phase 1, phase 2, and then, phase 3, who knows where that's going to come, 300K or something like that. We're not really sure. But markets move in this kind of wave-like fashion. And when you sort of break out of accumulation, as Wyckoff would put it, into, what do we want here? An uptrend, a phase 2, you often do that with a breakout on volume and then a retest before you see that continuation. So this is AVAX. A broader uptrend is in place for this now that it's initiated it with this breakout on volume and then the retest. You'll see the same thing playing out time and time again. ICP we've spoken about. Breakout, retest. Volume, decline. Chainlink. People are sleeping on Chainlink massively. Breakout, retest, continuation. Dogecoin. This is why we said meme season is on. There's also a falling wedge here. There's lots of falling wedges all over the place. Breakout, retest, continuation. And the interesting thing is, given what I've just said about Bitcoin now coming out of its slumber and altcoins are going to reassert even harder, they've got every reason to based on where they are technically. And it just so happens to align with seasonality and also the sort of time frame that Bitcoin dominance takes to roll. And there's also technical reasons to expect Bitcoin dominance to roll. So the stage is set. When it walks, talks, and quacks like a duck, ladies and gentlemen, it's a duck. And people say, oh, it can't just be that obvious. I don't think it is that obvious for most people. 90+% of retail, 98% of retail probably don't look at a chart outside of Coinbase or crypto total market cap. And everybody should be doing this. The key to moving that financial needle in your life is investing. Because if you don't, you have a compound interest equation working against you in the form of a devaluing money system and being taxed on everything. Taxation no longer makes any sense whatsoever. Whether it did to begin with is questionable. I don't think anybody's against giving a small amount of what they earn to go and help somebody else. I do that off my own back. I'm sure many of you do in regards to giving to charities. However, it's not you can't take from one to give to another in the name of fairness. That's just not fair. But taxation no longer makes any sense. Money proliferation, money itself is kind of no longer making any sense. And the only way you can really escape that is through investing and taking your money. And we're going to be watching what they're going to be releasing in October here in the UK. I'm pretty sure capital gains is going to get hit. Somebody like me that owns a business likely going to get hit in multiple ways than one, even though we provide jobs for people, etc., etc. It's a really sad state of affairs what's going on. So investing is of the utmost importance because it's a way that you can escape the matrix, so to speak, this compound equation that is constantly thrust against you. If you look at the top 1% of individuals and you look at the money supply, they're in sync. Let's get back to the topic at hand in regards to altcoins that are all signaling there's a great time ahead. Dogecoin, we obviously spoke about. HNT, Helium, now recently moved to Solana, talking about Solana. Theta, the Graph, Shiba Sheeb, Live Peer, and of course we looked at BTT. And you can see these phases. We just spoke about phase analysis. We do have a course with 80% off, by the way, guys, if anybody wants to take it. Things just rinse and repeat. Once you can understand what phase you're in, you can predict the next one. We're seeing some pretty popular big people that likely bought all their Twitter followers, by the way. That whole follow game is a total lie. And I know that firsthand. I won't say how. Start to now talk about this kind of the way that markets move, because they do move in this fashion. And in regards to what we've just shown you, breakout, retest, continuation. Coinbase, this is a stock Patreons have been in since the $30, $40 range. Breakout, retest, continuation. American Superconductor Corporation, breakout, retest, continuation. New York Times, breakout, retest, continuation. Look at where the altcoin market is. This one looks very similar to, is it Live Pair? Yeah. And B, breakout, retest, continuation. SPY did it as well. Breakout, retest, continuation. And then when we can compound technical targets, we're really increasing the probabilities of us being right. And we think we've got things very right in regards to the direction things are going. And this looks like Bitcoin here, doesn't it? So on and so forth. We won't go down the rabbit hole of smaller stocks. If people want specific stock market videos, do let us know. We're more than happy to accommodate that. So to sort of wrap up, Bitcoin down 3% today. It's done a lot. It's had a great run. Start panicking when the downside engulfs the upside on the shorter terms. This is nothing in compared with where it's come from. It was at 52K at the start of this month. It's now at 63. And it's likely going above and beyond. Remember, we've got that target 84, etc., etc. Great things really across the board. Solid support as well. We spoke about BNB at the start of the video, didn't we? Let's give you our price prediction on that. We'll do a total video on this. Got videos on all sorts coming out. You can see very textbook structure here. Likely going to, first target was met perfectly and then sold off. Likely going to result in a 2,674. I got the 4 and the 7 mixed up when I gave it initially, but it was off memory, so do forgive me. Dollar price prediction. So crypto down a little bit today. It's nothing to worry about. When we look at the likes of Total, I actually think Total, we've not seen many people highlight this, is in a bull flag that's likely going to see it go to $4.1 trillion. It's only just under a 2x from where it currently is today. I think it's going to go above and beyond that personally. Again, you're at resistance here. Expect it to act as resistance until it doesn't. Until you clear it, hopefully with momentum, then you're off, but we're on the cusp of it. Altcoin signaling that, BTC signaling that. This is the Total 2. I want to show you Total 3, which is a lot more of a bull flag. That's likely going to nearly double in terms of price, likely sell off. This will be in and around all-time highs. It will run into resistance just like Bitcoin did. And then hopefully set up broader continuation. How sick is everyone of me saying continuation? So do not fear. Allincrypto is here, guys. We think there's an amazing time ahead of you for the markets. Yes, Bitcoin selling off today, but in the grand scheme of things, and this is what we consistently try to impress on everybody, it's largely irrelevant, guys. I mean, it truly is irrelevant in the sort of grand scheme of things, if you will. So 433 of you watching. Likes and comments are always massively appreciated, guys. Let's try and get this screen out to as many people as possible. No vids on Ethereum. Do you know what? Let's take a look at Ethereum, because Ethereum looks great. Again, talking about what I just spoke about in regards to how markets move. You can see, doesn't it just look like we're rinse and repeating what's gone before us? And this is because markets do rinse and repeat. Breakout, retest, continuation. It looks just like, let's pull it up. We're going to talk about it. Let's show it. Oh, great. Wrong chart there, guys. I do apologize. What the SPY did, and we had technical accuracy on the SPY. Here. Doesn't it? And you'll see what I'm highlighting before it goes on a mega run to the upside, which aligns with everything that we've spoken about. The beautiful thing about being a technical analyst is you can confirm, you can find confluence, you can find a number of confirming factors across the board. And when it walks, talks, and quacks like a duck, ladies and gentlemen, it is a duck. Let's take a quick look at how long we have been presenting for. Currently been going for 34 minutes. Bit of a lackluster day in regards to news, unfortunately. But what I want to do is now dive over to some questions. We asked some interesting questions there in regards to Ethereum. Do you think Ethereum is going to remain in that number 2 position forever? I'm not convinced it will. I'm really not. I think I think it's going to lose ground, in my opinion. We're getting all kinds of questions, so let's start to answer some of them. Quite lackluster news day. I just wanted to get on. You know, it's always good to get on in the eye of a storm, or what some people may deem a storm. You know, Bitcoin down 3% today. The altcoins coming off a little bit, but they've done a lot. They've done quite well recently. Allow them to be altcoins and sort of relish in the volatility that's just inherent to them. So what I want to do, guys, is dive over to some questions that you guys have. So if there are any questions, get asking them. And I shall go ahead and start to take a look at them. So straight off the bat, we've got lots of questions. Let's get into them. Will the bull run go into 2025, or by December, the bull run will be done? So I assume by you talking about will the bull run go into 2025 or by December this year, will the bull run be done? That's not our opinion. That would be a very short period of time for lots of these price predictions that we have to get made. What are we basing our timeline for the bull market on? Let's start there. Let's start with the large part of the question there. The Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory, global liquidity index, PMI cycles, election cycles and how they play havoc on the market. That's the main base that I've got 4 cycles that overlay and align with one another that essentially lead us into 2026. Going into 2026, that's when we need to start being a little bit wary. That's what I'm basing my timeline on. Could we extend? Yes, but let's see that. And let's apply caution when we start to get to that. Now, I can be more certain about it's not going to end this year. I've seen people throwing this around. I haven't seen the evidence that they put forward in regards to why they suggest the bull market is going to end sooner. And I think the main argument that they're putting forward is, oh, well, this time just could be different. I don't think so, if you look at how well things have been followed thus far. So our prediction is that the markets do very well for the remainder of this year and next year going into 2026. The bull market could end before 2026. We're going to need to play that by ear and look at technically where things are at and what they're setting up. But I don't think the bull market's going to end in December. And that's just based on historically how things have gone and all the technical targets that we've got. It's a very short period of time for some of the things that we're predicting to take place. It's not our base case, and also the sort of cycles that overlay aren't the same. Production value keeps ramping up. Love to see it. Thank you very much, CC. Fan of Flux. I also own Flux, not my largest position by any stretch of the imagination. A deep in play that we are a big fan of, that we think actually is going to do very well. I think deep in generally is going to do well. What's your target for this bull run for ADA? $2, $5. Haven't seen TA on a TA vid on ADA for you, but would love to at least get a range from you. You're thinking it's not going to do that well this bull run. Let's pull up the ADA chart. Let's spend a minute on this because even though I sort of am here saying I don't think ADA is going to do as well as others and that it's going to lose ground in market cap to others, I'm still a fan of the blockchain. I'm still a big fan of the community. I'm still a fan of Charles Hoskinson. I think he's definitely read the laws of power and law number 27. On a side note, but I think Cardano, first of all, on the short term, we've done a previous video talking about this. Cardano's in a falling wedge that it's just broken out of, or certainly basing and likely going to see that break out of. Can you see this? Very textbook falling wedge. You've got 3 impulses in here. 1, 2, 3. Basing, you're going to get rocking and rolling on the back end of this. So I think Cardano in the short term doesn't look bad at all. Certainly in the month of October, we think things are going to do spectacular. I haven't got any price predictions for ADA. Now, as somebody that was buying ADA in the sort of 6, 7, 8 cents range, it did amazing for me in the last bull market. And my price prediction in that bull market was between $5 to $7. It got to 3 from when I was buying it at 8 cents. What I should have done was trust what I now do, technical analysis, to get me in and out, instead of trying to figure out where something could get in regard to where I thought the market cap could get and what that meant for the individual price. Ultimately, it didn't get to $5 or $7, and I still cop, some shade for that till this day. Now, whether it will in this cycle or not, and then we can be very late to that call, is to be seen. But I don't actually have a price prediction for Cardano. If it wants to do something like this, until it sets up some sort of structure, and maybe it wants to bounce here, then I can maybe say, okay, we can come out and give a price prediction. It's going to go up with the rest of the market. We're in a bull market. It's going to do well as Bitcoin dominance rolls, certainly in October, which we're expecting. Then we might be able to give price predictions. And remember, it hasn't done this yet, so we can't give this as a price prediction, but this is just stuff that I'm looking for before I do give a price prediction. Then you might be looking at, $6 or whatever, $7. And from where that is today, what's that, a 20x? There are altcoins out there that I think are going to do significantly better. That's not a bad return by any stretch of the imagination, but we've got stocks that we think are going to do that. And we're not saying that it's going to do that, by the way. Please, nobody clip this and quote this as Allincrypto said this. This is what we're looking for in regards to predicting a Cardano price prediction. We can't give you that yet because we don't have any sort of technical patterns that are going to take us there. What we can do is look at this short-term falling wedge. This is very much phase one basing. You know, you will have broken out of this. You're likely going to see upside in the shorter term on the back end of this, certainly in October. We're looking for something like we had here that pretty much predicted the top of this market. So I don't actually have any price predictions for ADA. I think it will do well, though, with the rest of the market. I just don't think it will do as well as others. Let's dive in now to some other questions. I'll just go ahead and check the questions. What's your best guess for an ETH replacement at number 2 spot? Oh, I'm going to say it even though I don't like the chain. Why don't I like Solana as a blockchain? I think the validator. So one thing I like about Cardano is we've been running a validator on Cardano we run a node, we run a stake pool. ALLIN's a ticker. Feel free to chuck your ADA in there. You'll get rewards just like you do with every other pool. We've been doing it for a long time. We might take part in some of the DREP stuff. We'll see. But I was able to actually partake in that network and run a node. In Solana, you just can't do it. It's not open to the public. And I'm not sure I like that, you know, because Bitcoin, anyone who can run a Bitcoin node, it's actually really simple to run a Bitcoin node. Mining gets a little bit harder, but running a Bitcoin node, you can do that on an old computer. I like networks that are accessible. And Solana's Ethereum is somewhat accessible, 32 ETH. I know that's kind of like, okay, for some people, but Solana is just not accessible to run a node on or to run a validator on. I don't like that. I also don't like the fact that the chain keeps having issues until they fix some of these problems. I don't like how they sell themselves on being fast. That should be a standard, you know, if blockchains want to see real world adoption. So I say I don't like it. You know, I just don't like those things about it is probably more fair. But I think it's absolutely positioned and chosen. Again, that fact that up until 2 months ago, in regards to ETPs, exchange traded products, it's more of an institutional grade product. Some of them can only buy ETPs, actual stock exchange traded products. Sol had more inflows than Ethereum. So I think it's not what I would want to be number 2. Certainly got my position, I hold Solana, but not a great deal of it in relation to other things that I hold. I think Solana probably stands a good chance of being that number 2 spot through being favorited by institutions. Could XRP, you know, we got that $19 price prediction for XRP. Could XRP get to number 2? Well, it put it over $1 trillion in market, which some people say is impossible. Well, Bitcoin really set the precedent. People would have said Bitcoin getting to $1 trillion was impossible. It got there and above, and it's going to go significantly higher. It could be 10 trillion, you know, in the future that we're moving towards. But you're going to see multiple layer ones that are all going to be in the trillions. I don't know. Solana's probably an easiest guess at the moment. But I really don't know. Could something like Sui, could something like Toncoin, could something like, you know, what is Solana? It's kind of like a global operating system that people can build upon and remove middlemen with smart contracts. It can be used for so many things. Well, all the blockchain needs to do is that better than it and attract the investment as a result of it. You know, and there's tokenomics that come into that. It's not always the most used that will be the best. So there's a lot of things that go into that. I think in regards to positioning right now, probably Solana. And my take is because it's favorited, really. And in terms of, let's actually see how far off Ethereum's market cap Solana is. So Ethereum has a $313 billion market cap, and Solana has a 72. So let's look at Sol BTC. So Sol BTC looks amazing. It's one of the best looking charts. You've started me now. And it's going to perform very well against Bitcoin. Again, coinciding with everything that we've looked at. There's clues in multiple markets that are hinting you in the same direction. Recently watched the new Batman. Wow. Great film. I'll be looking forward to watching The Penguin when I get home tonight. I was going to say we're like the Riddler here, or the market's like the Riddler. A really bad analogy, but an interesting one. Sol is likely going to also go down against Ethereum. Big time. It's an uptrend against it, and it's about to break out into new all-time highs and price discovery. We've got higher targets for it. So Sol is really going to sort of climb up and start to catch Ethereum. And I think more and more people maybe are... Ethereum's really where it is due to being favorited and first. Not favorited first, more so than anything. If it's another chain, it had the same thing. And Ethereum, I think, is only going to lose ground to other cryptos in my opinion. I was looking at things setting up on ETH dominance and other things. I'm not so sure they're going to commence. Let's move on to another question because I've spent quite a while on that one. Cosmos, yeah, not doing great, is it? It's really not doing great. In fact, I puked my Cosmos bag. I'm a big fan of Cito, Crypto Cito. Shout out to Crypto Cito each and every time. Amazing guy. If you're interested in Cosmos and you're not following Cito, what are you doing? You know, he's an absolutely amazing guy. But look at this compared to every other crypto or most of the cryptos. Cosmos as well. So there's lots of amazing projects that are built on Cosmos or using Cosmos's SDK and are in the Cosmos ecosystem and use IBC and things like that. It's got nothing to do with the token. The Atom token is from Cosmos Hub. Most people need to understand this distinction. Most of you do, and I'm sorry that this sounds patronizing, but some of you don't. Cosmos is the token of Cosmos Hub, or Atom is a token of Cosmos Hub. It has nothing to do with the broad ecosystem and its success. They all have their own stuff going on. Now, could it do well if it's got a thriving ecosystem and there's usage and utility for it, kind of like with what Osmosis are doing and things like that? Yeah, potentially. But it needs to work on its own merit. And if you look at Cosmos as a layer one blockchain, Cosmos Hub as a layer one blockchain, it doesn't have the appeal as others. And this chart stinks. Absolutely stinks. One of the worst looking charts there is, I'm afraid, guys. Now, that I'm not hating on Cosmos. I'm just saying things to me seem better placed, or there's better things have done better. I even noticed Vanex sort of somewhat, they gave a big bold claim on Atom, and I covered it, and they've gone a bit quiet on it. They now chose Solana, you know. But yeah, Cosmos, sorry, not rocking, not looking great, is it? Where does BCC retrace to? I'm hearing 62, 61, 60, 49, 40, etc. So many different calls. You know, I couldn't care less where it's going to retrace to. What are you trying to do? Trade it? You know? And I'm no longer in the game of trying to call short moves. I don't want to put that pressure on myself. My main focus is getting in for a bull market and out for a bear market and riding the trend. I'm not interested. So we've been in the crypto space, all public. Those of you that do check out the Patreon, go back to 2023 when we were calling for the Bitcoin bottom at 15, 16K. We played Bitcoin dominance wrong, unfortunately, with altcoins. That's how it goes. But really, what we're on the mindset of is riding the uptrend, not going, okay, we're going to time each top and each bottom here and try and squeeze as much juice out of it as possible, because the chances are you're going to mess that up. You've got to be right a hell of a lot. The one time you're wrong, it's going to cost you a lot of money. I've got a friend that got out of Bitcoin at 12K. He also got caught up in BitConnect in 2017. So, you know, what that tells you, I don't know. But he got out of Bitcoin down here, 12K, because he thought he was going to get it a little bit cheaper and he thought he could squeeze that lemon a little bit more. And then it did this. Lesson learned on his behalf for me. It's not that this is, and I promise, guys, this isn't that friend that actually secretly is me. You know, I predominantly wasn't in Bitcoin in the last bull market. I was in things like ADA and other things like that. It's irrelevant where it retraces to, and you know, you've got to also ask yourself, how are these people getting these retracement levels? Okay, you can look at a low or previous areas of support coming into it again. It's irrelevant. Focus on the bigger trend. I really try and discourage people from trading the crypto markets with leverage. Just go and give all your money away. Save yourself the time, effort, and heartache. Go and give it all to charity. You'll be doing a lot more for yourself trying to trade with leverage. Don't focus on the small time frames. And I've been a scalper, a 5-minute scalper using Heikin-Ashi candles. I hated it. You know, it's not something I'm even interested in. I don't care about short term at all. I have no ideas where Bitcoin could go in the short term. And if you look at, it seems like nobody else does, doesn't it? If you look at the variant of numbers that you gave me there, 60, 61, 62, 40. Okay. Focus on the trend, you know, and look for when that trend's invalidated is the best sort of answer I can give you to that question. Let us continue. Love your videos, man. Thank you very much, Alan. Awesome stuff all in. Thank you very much, Travis. I've got money to buy alts ready for October. Would you buy now, or it's looking like we're going to go low this week? Simon, we are not a financial advisor, unfortunately, and we absolutely cannot give financial advice. It's not, my opinion is that things are really going to get rocking and rolling. I'm in the markets right now to the degree of 95, 6, 7%. I'm in. I'm all in. My chips are in. I own some assets elsewhere, but I'm all in crypto. Take from that what you will. In regards to when you should actually buy, I really couldn't say. In regards to short term, are we going to go lower? We could, right? Just like asking, are we going 61, 60, 62? I don't know in the short term, but I know in the longer term where we're going. And that's how I'm positioned. Do you think XRP before the do you think XRP before the end of the year? Not really sure. Do we think it's going to break out before the end of the year? Let's pivot on to XRP. And I'll come on to Jasmine in just a second. If you're interested in Jasmine, by the way, guys, do watch the video that we're releasing after this one. Let's talk about XRP. So I think you're probably going to let's take a guess, an educated guess on where XRP is going to be at the end of the year, probably in the 90 to $1. I think it could probably get there within October, November. I don't know where XRP is going to be at the end of the year. I know it'll be probably above $1, in my opinion. This short-term pattern's triggered, and this is likely going to take you to your 90 cents range, which isn't that far off what's going to trigger this larger pattern that could see you go to $19. And I understand people are very skeptical of that, but we'll see. We'll see what takes place. So I don't know where XRP is going to be at the end of the year. I don't know if that was what you were trying to ask, but I think it's likely going to be in $1 or so. Let's take a look at some more questions if there are any. Are you still going to look into Jasmine? Yeah. Alan, do watch tonight's video. It's well worth a watch. I'm not going to look at it now. Just take a quick look at the time. We've been on for 52 minutes. So we're not going to look at Jasmine now. Yes, Jasmine video coming soon. Yeah, so also if you're into Jasmine, I've got a video coming out tonight where we look at 5 altcoins that are showing very bullish signs. I'll tell you right now, Jasmine's one of them. And there's some others in there that I'm sure you'll appreciate me taking a look at. I am going to take a quick look at some more. Is there a Discord for the Patreon? Yeah, absolutely. You'll get the link once you join. I'm going to take a quick look at some more questions before we love and leave you. Somebody asking about Hex and PLS. Let's take that one. Now, I don't want to say, I don't mind Richard Hart. I've got to be honest. I actually, he's an easy guy, I think, not to like because of his sort of bravado. And I don't know. How am I going to say any of this without trying to insult the guy, even though I really don't mind him at all? You know, I quite like his flamboyancy and his playful nature. But it's not an ecosystem that I'm involved with. It's not an ecosystem that I'm investing in. I'm very much staying away from that and focusing on the cryptos that I'm a part of. I don't know enough about Hex and PLS at the moment to really be dabbling or playing on it. I did, however, see the other day that it was moving up quite nicely. But a lot of the space is, and you've got to remember with it, it's been kind of beat up pretty significantly. Again, talking about crypto charts, ew. This is worse than Cosmos, for goodness sake. It's not hard for it to do this off of such a low volume and low liquidity, but that's a what? 300% gain? I don't know really anything about this anymore. Hex or PLS or its ecosystem. I know some people are into it. I know some people are big fans of Richard Hart. You got to do what's right for you. I haven't really got any comments on Hex or PLS. The only thing I will say is I don't mind Richard Hart at all. I think he's quite a knowledgeable guy when it comes to the space. Would I invest in his products? For no other reason than to make money. But I'm personally not invested in any of the sort of Hex or PLS ecosystem. It doesn't mean I don't like it. That just simply means I don't really know enough about it, unfortunately. We'll take a couple more questions. We'll move on from that. And then we shall wrap the stream on. Let's keep this going for an hour. Hex chart sucks. Yeah, it absolutely sucks. Falling asleep here. Well, John, you know what to do. Turn it off and go and get some sleep, mate. A lot of folks avoiding the question. Yeah, look, we can only tell you what we can tell you. We can only show you what's there and what we think is likely going to play out based on the charts. That's all I know. Can I be wrong? Absolutely. But we'll give you our best attempt at trying to be right. What's your opinion on ARB, Arbitrum? Not really sure. XDC is not something that I personally own. Link, Flare. Wow, loads of you in here, guys. Massive, massive thank you for everybody showing up. I think we're going to wrap the stream up there, guys. We've been going on for nearly an hour. We're going to do a lot more of these live streams. As we grow as a channel, we want to take you along for that journey. We want to interact with you in as many ways as possible. And I think this is a great way to sort of do that. So I hope you've enjoyed this live stream as much as I've enjoyed presenting it. I will see each and every one of you on the flip side. Hopefully we've got a great October, November ahead of us, despite everybody being focused on it. We still think it's likely going to play out technically based on what we're looking at. And, you know, we think there's going to be a sort of life-changing 12 months ahead of us. So it was absolutely my pleasure, guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. Have a magical Monday, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.